Who's finishing higher, Chelsea or United,
Wow.
Danny?
If I look at the squad, if I look at the signings that Chelsea have made, I would say them at the moment. I think they've made some unbelievable signings. I think the transfer ban that they had actually ended up working in their favour because they had finances now that other clubs don't have. But it's all about how the players settle. I think Manchester United need to sign some players. But at the moment, with the business that's been done, I would say Chelsea.
How would you have them set up, Danny? Because they've got a lot of players that they've brought in, but obviously they can't all start.
No, it's a difficult one for Frank Lampard, but I think what we're seeing now is them looking to get strength in depth. I think it's an important thing, and I think when you look at Chelsea, I go back to Frank Lampard when he first started his management job at Derby. He would play a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, and I think likewise at Chelsea, he has experimented with a back three, but I think if he wants to get the players in that he's signed, then I think he has to go with a 4-3-3. I think that's really important for him to have the varieties in terms of the attacking options.
Do you agree, Stevie?
Yeah, I would. I agree. I think they'll start off with 4-3-3, but I think with what they have, they'd be better suited with a 4-2-3-1, to be honest. You know, basically you can say, right, we're going to have 6 defending and we'll have 4 attacking. Considering how vulnerable Chelsea were defensively last season, I would suggest that's a better idea, having Kovacic and Kante in front of the back 4, and then you've got your other 4 going at the opposition. I don't think he'll start the season that way, but if things don't go well to begin with, I think that's a good option for Chelsea and Frank.
And Shaka, of course, we've still got that big elephant in the room, is that he doesn't really have a proper goalkeeper.
Yeah, and that's a concern, which is why I think Stevie's leaning to a 4-2-3-1 just to provide that added protection. Listen, I understand the criticism around Kepa, often as a goalkeeper, when you've lost the faith of your manager, when you've lost the faith of your back 4, and in particular your 2 centre-halves in front of you, it's hard to regain. And I think that's telling, because it affects not just how Frank Lampard is forced to set up, but how as a team you naturally sit a little bit deeper and you don't have that freedom. I think the good thing with Chelsea, given how talented this squad is and potentially can be, is that more times than not you play on the front foot, and that isn't that much of a concern. But as we've often seen, oftentimes this title is decided on how well you do against the top 6. That becomes a genuine concern. How vulnerable you are, or how much you play within yourself against the Liverpools and the Man Cities of this league.
Meanwhile, for United, Danny, we talked about it a lot when Van der Beek was made official. Can he play with Bruno and Pogba?
I think that he can. I think a lot of people, I think one of the first things that everybody said when Manchester United signed him was, OK, well, where's he going to fit in? Well, things like that don't happen when Manchester City sign a player. I think when you look at Solskjaer in particular, towards the end of the season, you know, his front 4, he was so reluctant to change anything, even until late in the games. You know, some games they were seeing which were very close, and he won't make substitutions until after the 80th minute because he didn't trust the players that he had on the bench. And I think with Van der Beek, a player coming in now, he has the versatility. Yes, he's played as a number 10, but when De Jong left and went to Barcelona, he was playing more of that defensive role. So when I look at it, I think to myself that he could play alongside Pogba. Obviously, Fernandes is the 10, and then you have Rashford and Greenwood either side, and then Martial up top. Now, a lot of people would say that there's no defensive stability there within the midfield area. But what you can do with having the strength in depth in the midfield area, it gives you the opportunity to make changes when it's called for in specific games. Matic, who recently signed a new contract, was outstanding, I thought, last season towards the back end. So he has the variety and he has the options to do that. And I think that's what Solskjaer will be looking at more than anything, is in terms of saying, is Van der Beek going to start the season? Where's he going to start? It's another player that can be a game changer if he's starting the game, or even if he's coming off the bench, enabling other players to have a rest, which I think is really important.
Is it another season for United, though, where they kind of have to make do with top 4?
I think so. I think from Manchester United's perspective, I think they've got to look at it and say, right, we need to close the gap to Manchester City. We need to close the gap to Liverpool. And, you know, I think they need a couple more signings. In an ideal world, I think they need another centre-back. I think if they could get Sancho in, that would be absolutely brilliant. And then they can start to possibly ask questions about the top 2 in particular, because at the moment, I think Liverpool and Manchester City are light years away from everybody else in the league.
Where's the big weakness for you, Stevie, with United?
The question for me is, can they defend in the middle of the park? That really is it. The back four are pretty good. They're not the best around, but they're pretty good and pretty solid. But I'm not so sure whether Man United can stop the better sides getting at them. So that for me is the question mark. Going forward, they've got talent, they've got ability, absolutely, no doubt about that one. But can they defend in the middle of the park? Fernandes wants to go forward. He's not that great at defending. Beek, I agree. I think he can play in there, but you know, defending in the Premier League is a little bit different than defending in the Dutch league. And of course, Pogba, there's question marks about his defensive ability as well. So I think that's the question for Man United. Yes, they can go forward from the middle, but can they defend against proper teams?
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.